Hi, and welcome to another update. We're coming to the end of week 14 now, and it's been a good week. And you might have noticed I'm actually in my office today, and the reason for that is last week when I posted my update and I put it on social media, uh, there were some comments that wanted to know what I actually ate during the day because I can say yes, these are my calories, etc. But I think people kind of struggle sometimes to visualize and actually see what I'm eating. And I have had to reassure people I'm not starving myself. I am eating properly. So in this week's update, I'm actually going to go through some of the foods that I am actually eating, and hopefully inspire you as well to look at what you're eating and maybe change up what you're doing if you're trying to lose weight as well. As I said, I'm doing a calorie deficit lifestyle, and I'm not going to call it a diet because it's not a diet. I'm going to carry on eating this way, once I've lost the weight, because actually I'm enjoying what I'm eating, and it's just, it's working for me. So yes, it's a lifestyle change, and I've been using the MyFitnessPal app to do all my calorie counting. And if there's a food that I'm not too sure of, you can always scan the barcode, and it will tell you the calories, etc. So that's what I've been doing now over these last 14 weeks. So tomorrow is weigh-in day. And yeah, I think hopefully I have lost. I have felt good. I've been on my walks this week, and the walking also helps because I have my Apple Watch on, so when I go for these walks, I do mark it as an outdoor walk on the app, and that's also connected to MyFitnessPal, so it's tracking that as well. So it will give me those kind of extra calories that I could have whenever I'm doing it. Not to say that I do always use those calories, but sometimes it gives you a bit of that safety blanket. If you know that you are going to be going out for a meal, for example, and you're not entirely sure of the calories, or you're going to need a bit of a buffer, do that exercise, because that will help you give yourself those extra bit of calories to help kind of balance out what you're eating. Now, I'm not going to say that you have to do that, but it's something that I do just to help. And yeah, it has helped. We went to Burger King on Saturday, and let me tell you, when you start reading it properly and looking at the calories, oh wow, some of those burgers definitely have a lot of calories in them. Some meals were like over 2,000 calories. So doing this has definitely helped me to make better choices, but also make me aware of what calories are in certain foods. A lot of the times you're eating foods and you don't actually know how many calories you're eating. And, when you do look, it's like, oh, maybe that's why I've been putting the weight on, because they've had more calories than I thought they would have. So this has definitely been an eye opener. And overall, yes, it's allowed me to make better choices. And that's what this whole thing has been about. And as I said, it's not a diet. It's going to be a lifestyle change, because now I can make those better choices. So when I'm looking at different foods and things that I want to eat, you're a bit more mindful. And not to say that, this has not been restrictive at all. When we've decided, yes, we're going to go for a takeaway, and we've done it. And I don't feel deprived at all. So that's why I'm never going to call this a diet, because a diet, I think, has negative implications. People, when you say diet, they think, oh, it means I can't have this food, I've got to do this, and all of that. No. That's why I don't call this a diet. I'm calling this a lifestyle change. So let me go through what I actually have on a typical day. So in the morning, I will have protein oats, and I get these from Aldi. And typically, I will either have a chocolate or a golden syrup one. Those are the two best flavors. And they're around 272 calories each. That's what I have for my breakfast. And that keeps me going until lunchtime. And at lunchtime, I typically have 2 sandwich thins with some slices of chicken, tomatoes, and I use a bit of peri-peri mayonnaise just to give it a little bit of extra bite. And that's kind of the main part. And I will have some sort of crisps generally. Sometimes it's like kind of the Snacker Jacks packets. They're again around about 80 calories or so. Or there's some other, kind of crisps that are low calorie around that same mark. So that's typically what I'll have. And I'll also have a protein bar. Now the protein bar is around 224 calories. It's the higher calorie protein bar. And sometimes I do have different ones and they're all different calories, but at lunchtime, that's the one I normally have. And in total, my lunch is around 580 calories. Now, again, depending if I've gone for walks and all that during the day, I might have an afternoon snack. And those will typically be kind of a skinny bar, something along those lines, or a piece of fruit. And those are normally around 80 to 100 calories. Now, as I said, sometimes I do have other protein bars, and they vary between 140 and about 165 calories. Now, again, it depends on what I know I'm going to be having for dinner, or if I've gone for a walk and I can have those extra calories, that is what I will have. Now, when it comes to dinners, as I've said, these are the 2 main books that we use. So it's the Board of Lunch, the Healthy Slow Cookbook, and the other one, which is the newer one, which we've been trying out, and that's the Board of Lunch Healthy Slow Cooker, Even Easier. So those are the 2 books that we mainly use. I do use sometimes the Pinch of Nom books as well. So at dinner time, we look to aim around about 700 to 800 calories. Again, it depends on the meal, but that's what we'll typically have. Now, going through these 2 cookbooks, I've just pulled out some of the ones that we typically have and the ones that we really enjoy. Now, the one is called Sweet and Spicy Pork, and that per portion is around 468 calories. Now, that is just for that dish. You still need to add your carbs and all that, so we will add some rice, and again, that's around about 200 to 230 calories, again, depending on what type of rice you're having. But what we will also do is we'll load up with a lot of veg. Now, we use different types of veg. So we will use broccoli, tender stem broccoli, asparagus, mini corn, green beans, mange tout, sweet peas, all of that type of stuff. And typically we will have 2 or maybe 3 of those vegetables, and we give ourselves, a decent portion. But with vegetables, we have quite a big portion of veg, but it's probably less than 100 calories. So in total, these meals will be around that 700 to 800 calorie mark. And another one that we enjoy is called harissa roasted squash with orzo. Now, if you don't know what orzo is, it's a pasta that looks very much like rice. And again, with this one, we might have garlic bread, and we'll still have that veg. Garlic bread that we use frozen garlic bread, and that's normally around 93 calories. And with this meal, it's 477 calories per portion. And then again, we'll load up with veg on that as well. And one of our favorites, and that's the honey garlic shredded chicken. Now, this one is 287 calories. And what we'll tend to do is we'll probably give ourselves a slightly bigger portion. In the actual recipe, they say you can put it on some kind of bun. We typically have it with rice again, but we have had it with buns before. And with this, it's all about just looking at the calories and adjusting the portion size, because sometimes what we have found with some of those portions is they might be a little bit small. So we will adjust that as well. And one that has been a family favorite is the American Sloppy Joe. Now, this does include the bun, and it's 331 calories per bun. So you can have at least 2 of those, maybe a portion of fries. We've typically had it with sweet potato fries. And yes, the portion of fries is not, going to be massive, but it's something extra to that. And another one that's come out from the newer book is the chorizo carbonara orzo. And that is, again, served with garlic bread and a lot of veg. So as you can see, those meals, and I do urge you to have a look at these two cookbooks. The meals are really good. And sometimes if we are a bit below our calories and we might be a little bit peckish in the evening, what we will have is salt and vinegar rice cakes, typically the big Snacker Jacks ones, with a little bit of peanut butter on it. And you're probably looking at about 100 to 200 calories, depending on how many you have and how thick you put your peanut butter on there. But that is just a snack that we use sometimes if we need to. It's not an everyday occurrence, but it's sometimes there if we need it. So I'm hoping that just kind of going through some of these recipes that we are using, you can see that you can eat a wide-ranging different types of food, and it's not going to be just boring and having the same thing all the time. I can go through these books, and we've probably tried 10, 12 of these recipes, if not more now, and we do bulk cook them, so we do stock up on them. And so we are eating a wide range of things. Now, we don't always eat of these. During the week, we probably do have a lot of meals from these books, but on the weekends, we might have something slightly different. Again, just look at those calories when you're making those types of meals. We've had chicken burgers, pizza. It's just looking at the calories and just seeing what you can have, but then loading up on salad, veg, all of that as well definitely does help. So I'm hoping that going through what I'm actually eating is going to inspire you to look at what you're eating as well, but also, making you aware that I am not starving myself. I am eating really well. And as I said, I'm going to carry on with this even once I've lost the weight, because the meals in these cookbooks are really tasty. They're really good. And we're eating such a variety of different types of food now as well. Not that we were eating badly before, but it's not something that we get bored of. We're not having a 2-week rota or whatever like that of just the same meals. We do have loads of different things, and we really enjoy it. So I think that's it for this week's update. I hope you find this useful, kind of going through what I am eating. And just let me know down in the comments if you have any questions regarding this. I'll be happy to answer them for you. So fingers crossed for tomorrow's weigh-in, and I'll keep you updated, and I'll see you on the next one.